Hi, my name is Brian Carnes, and I'm the creator of Sailpower. And today I'd like to talk to you about everybody's favorite thing, crew actions, boarding, shore parties, and all that stuff you do with your crew after you do gunnery. So, some basics first of all. Your sail crew or crew that fired the ship's guns can't do anything else for the turn. They've already acted. So when you get to the crew actions phase, you don't get to count them again and say, oh, well, because honestly at that point we're figuring that they're clearing the gun, reloading it, that kind of thing. So repair, there are charts in the book. So when you get to the crew actions, you can do repairs at the rates that are prescribed on the chart. Repair crews are considered to be wherever they last repaired. So if you repaired hull, for example, your guys are below, which might then keep them from getting wiped out of the deck. By default, they are on deck. All right. Small boats. We launched them during the crew action phase, and they are ready to sail the next turn, or they can row or sail. We can small arms. There's a table for that. It's a percentage base hit. So, you'll roll a die roll for your whole party that's firing. You'll figure all the modifiers which modify your die roll. And then it'll give you a result. This percent hits. So then you take, if I have 30 guys, 50% hit. So I'm going to apply 15 casualties to the other guy. Another thing that's worth mentioning about that is that when you are picking what you're shooting at for small arms, you can be specific or you can not be specific, and there's a major difference in how that's resolved. So if I say I small arms your ship, okay, my guys are shooting at what is called available targets. So basically they're picking a guy, lining him up and firing, and you as an officer are not telling them to do anything special about that except attack the ship. In this game, your opponent chooses where the casualties come from for that purpose. So if he wants to take them, spread them across his crew, he can do that. If he wants to take it out of his repair guys, he can do that. Because basically you as an officer didn't intervene, and so it gives him that luxury. All right. Now, you might say, well, that doesn't sound very good, and he's going to pick the stuff that's not to my advantage. You're right. So if you wanted to target just the boarding party, you can do that. You can say, I'm going to small arms against the boarding party. Okay. Now, the problem with that is, disadvantage, is that bleed overs don't happen. So if I target the boarding party and there are 20 guys and I get 30 casualties, the extra 10 is more hits into the same 20 guys. So you'll want to think, whether, it might be fun to take out the boarding party, but if you have a large attacking force, it may not be worth it to you to do that. You'll want to consider that in that. So next, a little bit about treasure hunting, supply hunting. Any island or wreck in the game is searchable as long as it's not your port. Basically, to search it, you have to have your ship adjacent to it. You can actually, in some cases, let's say you're a little bit further out, you can use a small boat, and if that bridges the gap, we'll let you do it. Everything is searchable except your home port. So you can't search your port. That's where you live or are from. That doesn't work. Also, other ports, if it's a major port, probably is not searchable. But all the little islands are. You'll be able to search with whoever you have in your boarding party. And you have to have one officer per 10 men. We've talked about that in other videos about how that works. And you get a +1 for every 10 guys. So 10 guys, we get 11 or less, 20 guys, 12 or less, and so on. If you succeed, you will basically draw 3 treasure chests. They're numbered, and if you draw a red one, your opponent or GM will roll a die for how many men are guarding that chest. The red chests are always guarded. The they're fearless defenders in that case. That they'll just, and you can decide. The reality is, while you're drawing an actual treasure chest, it's stuff on a beach or stuff in a port or stuff somewhere, and you can see what it is. So you can choose whether it's worth fighting for that item or not. You don't necessarily have to. If you wanted to, you can just leave it there on the beach. While we're talking about searching for just a second, I want to let you know that you can fail as many times as you like. You can only succeed once, and that's for you as a player. So if your ship succeeds, the next guy can come along and we just assume he looked in different places. But we don't want you to stay at the same island and search it over and over again. So once you've succeeded, you're done. Fail as much as you like. So if you fail and you just like, I really don't have anywhere else to go, I'll just stay here, do that the next turn. You can do that until you succeed. When you are succeeding in finding stuff, let's say you found stuff that wasn't guarded, or you've fought for it and you've successfully gotten the victory there. We auto-load it. When we first wrote this game, we had lots of rules for sitting there with small boats and going back and forth, and then we'd come hours later and people are still loading stuff, and it just wasn't fun. So your ship has a cargo capacity. Do not go over it, or your opponent has every right to claim that you sank, or the GM may just sink you. So whatever the cargo capacity is, don't go over that. But it'll auto-load as long as you have the space for it. You might have to make some tough choices. You may find stuff that's bigger than your ship can hold. And you'll notice on the treasure charts, they actually have a breakout of what it is, what the victory points are per ton. You always get the finding points no matter what anyway. So you get finder's points, and then you take what you can. So, because you'll get points based on what you take. That's treasure hunting in a nutshell. You'll want to put into port if you have a chance, if it's an opportunity, and offload your treasure. As soon as you offload your treasure at port, you get victory points for it for end of game. So let's say you're on the way to combat and there's port along the way, and I can dump my treasure there and then sail on to combat, and then I'm captured. Oh, that was unfortunate. However, all the stuff that I dropped off at the port on the way there, I still get points for. So that's why you'd want to drop stuff in port if you have a chance. We've actually had people get really creative and use their small boats and run small treasures into port separately if they were on a combat mission. So that's a thing. Boarding. So let's say you're next to another ship, and adjacency is what we're looking at. So adjacency is within 2. All right. Basically, your boarding party can throw 1 hook per crew member over, and we use the small arms table to figure the percentage of hooks that hit. So let's say I have a boarding party of 30, so I throw 30 hooks and I roll 50% success, so I have 15 hooks over. All right. The success of the grapple is dependent on having more hooks than the length of your opponent. So if I had succeeded with 15 hooks and it's a 7-inch long cutter or 7 long cutter, keep forgetting people are playing in 6 as well, and I always have to give a generic. So it would be 7 centimeters instead of 7 inches, but depending on what scale you're playing in. But so you have 15 hooks. All right. And the ship's 7 long. That is more than 7 hooks, so we pull together. All right. If it's, let's say I only got 4 hooks, it's 7-inch long cutter, well, it breaks away. All right. So once you succeed in grappling, you can board immediately. If the ships were touching and I didn't have to grapple, they're just touching, and then you can board without grappling. All right, and then at that point, you can small arms at point blank range, which is super lethal. One thing that you'll notice in the small arms when you look at it is that cannon fire creates smoke, and there's actually a good chance if the ships fired their broadsides that no small armsing can happen ship to ship at all. So boarding negates that, because now you're within feet of each other and using swords and other things. So, the smoke modifier won't impact you. So one thing, if you're about to get wiped, fire all your guns, hope for a smoke modifier, cut away the grapples, and keep it a distance fight, because it's that huge negative for smoke or inability to fire may save your life. That's happened a lot. Lately, we've been playing with Dutch Marines in our games, and they're super lethal. And we've had several players opt to chop away lines rather than shoot at the opposing ship, because they literally want to stop the deck-to-deck action where there's no smoke modifiers. It's saved people's life, so something to consider. If you board and you clear the deck, you can batten the hatch of the ship to trap the remaining crew that's below. All right. If you fail to clear the deck, you can retreat back to your ship, or you can establish the boarding party aboard the ship until the next turn. So you put like a D20 to represent you got X number of things, or if you're using stands of minis, you put a little stand of mini on the deck. There's a good chance if you do stay on the deck that your ships might break away the next turn. There's rules for that, so consider that. If you guys are both willing, he's going to defend and wipe you out and whatever, you're going to be sitting there, then you can keep him there. Otherwise, you may just want to retreat back to your deck. So when you're in port, you want to remember that whatever you're doing, let's say you want to do recruiting and you want to visit the tavern, you want to toss the market, you want to sell stuff, you can subdivide your shore party, but they can't do more than one thing in a turn. So if, let's say I want 10 guys to go to the tavern and 10 guys to toss the market, that's okay. But I don't get to count the safety of 20 guys for my tavern visit if they're off tossing the market. They can only do one thing, so make sure you subdivide it accordingly. So that's some notes on crew. Hopefully that's been helpful to you. If you have further questions, you can email us, or you can talk to an experienced player or GM. Have a great day.